Everyone remembers this E3 press conference for 3 reasons: giant enemy crab, Ridge Racer, and $599 which ended up branding this press conference as one of the worst in E3 history. But was it really that bad? Recently the channel NoClip Game History Archive, which belongs to NoClip, a channel that makes lots of documentaries about video games that you should go check out, uploaded this famous Sony press conference in full HD. Yeah, in 1080p baby. So I decided to watch it on stream to see if it was really that bad or if there were also some great bits. It starts with the typical PR talk, taking video games to the next stage and all that with the PlayStation 3 before bragging about how much more the PlayStation 2 sold than any other console ever before. And to this day it's still true, but maybe the Switch will soon change that. Back in the day it was also completely normal to talk about the sales of the consoles, which over the course of time just kind of stopped, and E3 presentations started becoming more and more compact, mostly thanks to Nintendo when they switched to their E3 directs, and Sony and Microsoft kinda saw, people mostly care about the games, so let's mostly talk about the games and not this boring sales talk. It wasn't unusual to not see any games for like 10 minutes while the presenters would just go on and on about sales, sales and sales. Talking a bit more about the PlayStation 2, supporting it for many more years and all that, and look at this list of games. That's a pretty strong lineup for a console that's already out for 6 years. God of War 2, Final Fantasy 12, Okami, Yakuza, and many more, and the PlayStation 2 didn't die in that year, the PlayStation 2 trucked on. But enough about the dumb old buzzard console, it's time for the future, kind of. Time to talk about the PSP. I never personally had one, but I remember the hype for it. People were excited to see if someone can finally destroy Nintendo's tight grip on the handheld market, and to be fair, it was a fairly well fought battle that the DS easily won in the end. You could say the DS outsold the PSP by almost double, which makes you think the PSP lost by a huge amount, which it kinda did, even though the PSP sold around 80 million models, which is insane to think about that the DS sold almost double that with its 150 million sold models. It makes it almost sound like a failure despite being a great hit for Sony. I wonder why Sony never tried making another handheld after the PSP. So a bit more sales talk about how it's the fastest selling thing Sony has ever produced, and yay, finally we actually see gameplay from video games after almost 8 minutes. A short montage of fairly okay games: Gangs of London, Killzone Liberation, and Loco Roco, the only one that really stood out to me even back in the day already. Such a cute and colorful game, and I really want a new one. Also introducing the greatest hits for the PSP. Let me tell you, I don't miss these kind of special selected titles at all, except for their cheaper price. They just look so gaudy, and as a kid I didn't really care about it because yay, cheap video game. But now whenever I see a Platinum PlayStation 2 case I just think, damn, you're kinda ugly, but I still love you anyways. Because in the end it's about the inside, not the outside. A great game will still be a great game, even with an ugly case. It's like having your firstborn being the ugliest baby ever created. You wouldn't actually call it ugly, right? Despite thinking it's ugly as heck, you would still probably shout out to everyone. Still happy that these cases are pretty much gone, and the prices of new games drop also really fast, except for that one certain company. Time for a little video about PlayStation fans who can't wait to play on the PlayStation 3. We got people from New York, Sydney, London, wow, they're everywhere, even Mexico. This person maybe likes the controller a bit too much.
PlayStation is the feel of the controller in my hands. I like the hard plastic and the little knobby bits. I'm eagerly...
Also, this is the most British sounding lad ever.
He's the best gamer I've ever played against. He's so fiercely competitive and he can never lose. And of course, being his dad, I have to let him win sometimes because he doesn't beat me, obviously.
I just know this guy has played every FIFA in existence and is probably a Chelsea fan, most because he kinda looks like Frank Lampard. I wish he would still coach Chelsea, to be honest, so they could get relegated. Sorry, Chelsea fans. Also, I refuse to believe that this lady is that excited for Blu-ray discs.
Blu-ray discs?
Internal hard drive. I'm getting excited.
Like the first person goes, games. Then this guy goes HD, and she has nothing better to say than Blu-ray discs? Come on now, they clearly made her say that. Nobody gets excited about discs like that. If the PlayStation 7 would use discs that can storage like 500 gigabytes on them, nobody would say, wow, I really like those discs. Well, I wish it would happen. Because the way things are looking, there won't be any more discs soon in the next 10 years. I also really connect with this Japanese fella who says he becomes a monkey when he plays video games. It's just so relatable. And I know, it sounds a bit sarcastic, but I mean it. Anyone else who sometimes runs up the stairs on all fours when no one else is looking? Just me? Oh well.
so.
But yeah, the PlayStation 3 was the clear focus of this presentation starting now. Talking about key features and all that, a new generation of gaming will begin with it. The cell processor, a big hard drive, wireless controllers, full HD, talking about the Blu-ray discs and how much bigger they are than any other disc ever before. I'm sure the lady enjoyed that part of the presentation a lot. It's just a bit funny to me how they have the Dreamcast on that PowerPoint presentation. Why not use the GameCube? The Dreamcast was already truly dead at this point and was probably the last time anyone ever said anything about the Dreamcast on a stage at E3. And we all know Sony picked the right media, unlike Microsoft, who thought HD DVDs are gonna be the next big thing. Time to talk about the release date, early November in 2006. I'm sure they won't delay the PlayStation 3 in European countries and it will totally release worldwide on the same day. To be fair, the delay for us was probably a good thing, more time to save up for the console after all. Bill Harrison gets onto the stage, woohoo, a person that makes you as excited for video games as a whale without water. Because his way of talking is just so dry. Listening to him made me almost fall asleep and it's all just that corporate speak. Yeah, your teams are hard at work. Yeah, they're working their magic, all that. Pausing shortly after every word almost. After bringing Katsunori Yamauchi, the creator of Gran Turismo, onto the stage, we finally see the first real gameplay demonstration, unless we count those short PSP game snippets, about Gran Turismo HD. A little prototype only made for E3, and to be honest, it's Gran Turismo 4 but in higher resolution. Not much else to say, and this goes on for almost 15 minutes. That's kinda just it. And then Phil just says in the most monotone voice possible how incredible it was. If it was really truly incredible, then maybe put some more oomph behind your words, Philly. Now we get a little demonstration about Eye of Judgment, and when I saw that back in the day I was like, wow, this is like Yu-Gi-Oh almost. I kinda want it. But I never got it because I got my PlayStation 3 in like 2011 and then the game was already dead and I had no more interest in card games. Not like I ever had that much interest to begin with. It was just something you collected around that time. And I never even really played a single serious round of the Pokemon trading card game or Yu-Gi-Oh in my life pretty much. It's a card game where the eye toy camera that you can get in a bundle with it can scan the card on the field and make a 3D model of it appear. Aside from that, I have no idea how the card game portion of it actually works or if it was good or bad. And there's also a cool rubber ducky card just for the presentation. Yay, I love rubber duckies. I love taking baths. Enough Phil for now, back to Kaz who talks a bit about the online features, voice chat and all that, yay. I sure hope nobody will ever hack my PlayStation Network account. That would never happen, right? And now, one of the core moments you have all been waiting for, to show off that you can buy PlayStation 1 games and play it on your PSP. It's Ridge Racer! I love how excited he is for it. Way better than Phil.
I'm not a very good player even there. Game is powered by Namco. It's Ridge Racer. Ridge Racer. Remember that one? All right, so let me go right ahead.
And oh no, it's Phil time again. I really wish Kaz would have just done the presentation by himself. Maybe we would have gotten more funny moments, but the past can't be changed, or can it? But at least they're using Phil to sell you some DLC stuff. Look, we got a store. We can buy all these tiny things for your games for too much money. Buy a cool new ship for Warhawk for just $5, yippee. Showing it also off with SingStar where DLC does make sense though. I don't know if the songs were priced fairly, but probably not. Sadly Phil does not sing, because that could have redeemed him in my eyes, but, you know, I wouldn't sing on stage either. He just seems like the kind of person that hates showing himself having fun, and wants to be seen as a serious businessman, but something about him just seems so normal and boring. I want presentators to be at least full of charisma, even if they try to sell me overpriced dumb stuff. Back to a real game though, Genji, a game I was always interested in, not just because of the giant enemy crab. Battles that actually took place in ancient Japan, wow, sounds cool. I wonder what those look like. I'm not quite sure if that really happened.
So here's this giant enemy crab. What I'll do is use Benkei here to flip over this crab on its back. Let's see if he shows up. Oh, here it comes.
It's behind you.
He's all the way at the end of the screen, so if you'll hold on a second. Oh, here it comes.
But I choose to believe that this crab actually existed. And I love how it's also really shy and doesn't want to show itself at first. Adorable. This little presentation about Genji was just cute in general somehow. The presentator for it was clearly really nervous and it made me feel a bit bad for him. I think he just worded his words a bit badly. Maybe he should have just said that the battles were inspired by actual battles that happened, with a bit of fantasy sprinkled in. But at least he taught us to always attack the weak point for massive damage.
And you attack its weak point for massive damage.
Also, the frame rate in the game was rough at times, and I think those were in the final game too, which means at least there was no false advertising. Yippee, a Formula 1 game, how exciting! Wait, holy shit, no way. He's using his PSP as a wing mirror? God damn, this is the best thing I've ever seen, no kidding. This is basically Wii U before the Wii U, but even better than the Wii U. Even though Nintendo already did that with the GBA connection cable thingy too, kinda. I really think this was a cool idea though, like regardless of how dumb it may seem. It's a cute way to show off that you can use your PSP for your PlayStation 3 too, but I can't think of a single other game that you can use your PSP with like this. But there's probably a few, right? Then we get a little show of Heavenly Sword with Dante from the best Devil May Cry. Just kidding, please don't murder me. Normally I don't like to say that I'm joking when I'm joking, but I think this joke went a bit too far, please don't murder me. And he's not talking doing it at all. It's just Phil talking some bullshit about the AI animation system, and yeah, it looked pretty good, but yeah, it just feels a bit weird watching someone play a game on stage without any talking. Obviously, there has been times at E3 where people talk too much, but this is too few. Strike a good balance between those two, please. You're pros, or at least supposed to. At least it shows gameplay, unlike the layered CGI trailer from the PlayStation 3 games montage, which reminded me a bit of the first Drakengard, but layered somehow manages to be just an uninteresting bad game instead of being an interesting bad game. I like Dragonstone, they're cool, spitting fire and shit. I wish I could do that. Then a not so true gameplay trailer of a next gen getaway game that never saw the light of day. Followed up with Africa, which is probably a really relaxing game. Never played it though, but for some reason it was the kind of game you always saw in magazines and it made you wonder, what do you actually do in this game? Do you really just go around snapping photos on a safari? And yeah, that's exactly what you do. Also looked great for its time, especially the animations of the animals, so it got used a lot to show off the power of the PlayStation 3. I really love the endless ocean games on the Wii, so I'm sure I would enjoy this one too, since it's like those but on land. Everybody's Golf, cute, but I hate Pena Golf on the Wii for my fix of cute golf already. And well, I hate golf, so I have no idea why I even bought that. And last but not least, that's what we said, right? We got a little trailer for Monster Kingdom, the game we now know as Folklore, which I own but never really played more than a few hours. I should go back to it and finish it, because I remember actually enjoying it. The MC really reminded me of Otacon in this trailer though, like the male one, not the female one. But a female version of Otacon would be kinda hot. Wow, another game from London Studios? I sure hope this one suffered the same fate as the getaway PlayStation 3 game. Oh well, 8 days, an action game that would have taken place during, you guessed it, 8 days. And seeing this trailer made me laugh. I'm sure back in the day it blew some minds, but seeing this nowadays, it looks like one of those fake Mobile Mafia City game ads. It just looks so laughably bad, especially when they show the weapon and ammo UI at the bottom right sometimes. It's just a bunch of action scenes slapped together to make people think, wow, cool, it's like Die Hard. It doesn't help that it takes place in the middle of nowhere, so it's not even really impressive. But yeah, it was cancelled. But a game that wasn't cancelled, Uncharted 1. This was the E3 where they revealed Naughty Dog's new IP, and I never played any of the Uncharted games, but I'm sure they are pretty fun. I just know the first game has some spooky enemies towards the end because the GamePro magazine spoiled me about it back in the day, and seeing those made me pee my pants because I'm a big scaredy cat. Maybe one day I'm gonna get the collection, maybe. The trailer still holds up really well too, shows off what it's all about and even still looks nice, at least to me, but I'm easily wowed with graphics, so that's not a high bar to clear. Others would just look at this and think, wow, that looks bad. Last time I played a Naughty Dog game was like Jak 3. Those were the times. I remember back then everyone loved Jak 2, it had great ratings, people on forums raved about it, and even my real life friends, some of them loved it. Nowadays though, it seems like everyone poops on the edgier Jak games. It's a bit sad. The only true bad thing about Jak 2 is the layout of the city hub and maybe the difficulty sometimes. Ted Price from Insomniac, wow! Maybe we will see a new Ratchet & Clank or another cartoony cool new IP from them? That would be awesome sauce. Nope, a gritty brown edgy shooting game. Yippee. Never played the Resistance games, but always wanted to try it out at least. Soon maybe. The thing is, he's just standing there, playing the game. No talking, nothing. So you just watch this guy play a fairly generic looking shooter game without him telling you what makes it so special or why you should be excited for it. It's just so dull to watch. Then he stops playing and now tells you, wow, it will have multiplayer. Come to our booth and play it. Yay. Cars is back, baby. Yay. I love to say yay. And he's gonna show us some cool third-party games. Yay. Assassin's Creed when it still had its own identity. Gundam. Clouded Arms Assault. The thing about that game is that I knew the series had a game on the PSP, so I was wondering, huh? Wasn't this only for the PSP? I never knew it was also on PlayStation 3. Then I looked it up and it was cancelled. Kinda sad. I really like the aesthetic. Never played the PSP game though. Maybe I should do it one day. So many games to still check out, so little time. Even though I have more time than the average person. I'm just a bit lazy. Whoa, it's Ridge Racer. Ridge Racer again. You should have saved that one for this trailer. Brothers in Arms and Tekken 6. Great looking character models to show off the PlayStation 3's power. Oh no, not this game. Let's just ignore it. Tennis. Let's go back to Sonic 06 instead actually. Virtua Fighter 5. Nobody needs it when you already got Tekken. Stronghold? Nobody needs it when you got the superior Wet. That's the name of the game, Wet. You should check it out if you haven't. Still sadly stuck on the PlayStation 3 or 260. A boring Wipeout clone, Dynasty Warriors, meh, but at least they ended it on a strong note with Armored Core 4, which I tried once and didn't like it too much, and hopefully I won't fall for the FOMO meme and buy Armored Core 6 despite knowing I won't like it too much. Maybe if I can get it on a sale for cheap one day, then I will buy it, and maybe I will enjoy it, or maybe I won't. Hopefully you will. 20 minutes of EA stuff that I won't talk about, and then Final Fantasy 13 with a mention of Final Fantasy 13 Versus. Good old times, back in the day when people still had hopes for it. The trailer for 13 is pretty nice though, and I remember how many people were so hyped for it, till it came out, and for many it became the weakest mainline Final Fantasy in modern times, and people already weren't so happy about 12 before that. And then it's Kojimbo time. Metal Gear Solid 4 got a trailer and it's really cool, with its deep message about how war has changed and hasn't changed and all that. But goddamn if that game doesn't show you how this generation of graphics will go. Brown and grey and full of bloom everywhere. Back then it looked so impressive though, and still does to me. Seeing Outsnake putting a gun into his mouth almost gives me goosebumps. One of Kojima's weakest trailers, but what a ride that game was. An exciting ride that makes you think, huh. It lacks a little bit of something, but there's so much cool stuff happening that it makes you forget about the bad parts of it. Then Ken Kutaragi gets on stage, the creator of PlayStation pretty much, to talk about the new controller, the 6-axis. The one everyone kinda hates because the motion controls just don't work too well, and how the heck do you make a controller without rumble? I checked the wiki page of it and apparently it was because of some lawsuit during the time, so it makes a bit more sense, but still. I love rumble, I masturbated with rumble holding it up to my dick. Everyone has done that, don't disappoint me please. So now they just show it off and it feels a bit weird how far Ken stands away from Phil, and maybe it's because of the size difference, because holy shit, Phil is a giant. He's almost 2 whole heads taller, and as a manlet myself, I can feel the pain here, not wanting to stand too close to make it even more obvious, but I think standing so far away and looking so disinterested kinda makes you pay more attention to it. Then they show the 6-axis off again with Warhawk and... That was supposed to be me snoring, not sounding like a pig, but it kind of makes me sound like a pig, but I was trying to snore. And then the true kicker, the real deal, the announcement of the price of the PlayStation 3. The worst thing about the whole presentation, $599 for a game console.
On November 17th, 2006, the 20GB PlayStation 3 will retail for $499 US and 549 Canadian dollars. And the 60GB PlayStation 3 for $599 US, $659 Canadian.
Or you could buy the version with a smaller hard drive that's only $499, which was still $100 more than the 360, which came also in 2 versions. One for $399 and one for $299. So basically you could have bought a 360 and a Wii at the same price of one PlayStation 3 if you wanted the 60GB version of it. The price was insane for a console back in the day, especially after how the PlayStation 2 was so affordable for everyone, and Sony paid the price for it. The PlayStation 3 was a fairly big flop, which took a long time to actually get going, and it eventually took over the 360 in sales numbers. But obviously, just because a console sold more than another does not mean it was profitable. It took 4 years till 2010 that Sony said they are now making a profit with every PlayStation 3 sold instead of selling it at a loss. All in all, I would say the presentation wasn't as bad as everyone always says. Obviously, if you cut it down to a little portion of it and only take the funny parts, it may seem like an embarrassment, but overall it was just kinda boring. But back then most presentations were kinda boring. They always had the corporate feeling to them. People in suits standing on the stage and talking about specs and sales and everything else that nobody truly cares about, while sometimes showing a few games here and there. They showed a decent amount of good games, showed what's in the pipeline for the PlayStation 3, but what do good games matter when it's just too expensive to really buy? I love Zelda and Xenoblade, but even if the next Nintendo console would launch with those two games for $600, I would not buy it. But obviously that's different for everyone. Some people bought a PlayStation 5 at that price when you can basically count the exclusive for it on a single hand. Nothing in this presentation really excited me too much, so in that sense it failed, and also did it back in the day. I never felt the hype for it and instead was just too busy jerking myself off waiting for the Wii to come out and got one at release, which became my favorite console of all time. A few years later though, I got a nice cheap PlayStation 3 Slim and I love it to this day. For me the name PlayStation 3 is just perfect for it, because it's on the third place of PlayStation consoles for me. First comes the PlayStation 2, then the PlayStation 1 and then the PlayStation 3 with the PlayStation 4 and 5 way behind it. But it's just my subjective taste. And if you got any taste you would not give this video a like or even a subscription, whatever you want to call it, because it would mean you got bad taste being subscribed to me. Or maybe it means you got good taste. Maybe this reverse psychology will work, maybe. Have yourself a good one and see you next time maybe. And I do kinda miss E3s.